Included in the exhibition are a group of paintings that represent the coda of Delaney's career from the early to mid-1970s. By 1974-75, his battle against the voices is a losing one and he becomes institutionalized. But shortly before that time, he is still in central Paris. But James Baldwin, around 1970, has moved to the south of France. And Delaney constantly is writing his friend and hoping that he can come down and visit, because in many ways, Baldwin becomes his lifeline and his emotional support. And so Delaney visits Baldwin several times in the south of France at Baldwin's villa. It's a stone villa in this small medieval town of Saint-Paul-de-Vence. And what's exciting is that 3 of the paintings in this chapter of the exhibition, in fact, come from Baldwin's personal collection. And this is one of them. It's called Yellow Cypress. It's from around 1972. And supposedly when Delaney visited Baldwin, Baldwin and his brother and whoever else was there would help Delaney set up his easel, usually on the back terrace overlooking Baldwin's acres, beautiful vistas in the distance that should have inspired anybody. And of course, they inspired Buford Delaney. And here we see, again, this late painting where much of the canvas is left bare. You get the sense that perhaps Delaney's energy is waning. He's not able to sustain the focus needed to create the kind of paintings that he was creating earlier. And what we see is this beloved cypress tree that he and Baldwin would often correspond about. Delaney seemed to love the tree. And notice too how in the distance is that key element in so much of Delaney's art, the sun, the source of all light, light being such an engine in Delaney's artistic practice. Light both reflected, direct, natural, incandescent. There are all kinds of sources of light that fascinated Delaney throughout his career. And even at the end, one of his last paintings, we see the sun still at the heart of his artistic universe. I was really excited to come across in a Knoxville private collection what I believe to be the first ever known work of Buford Delaney. And it was done about a year or so before he leaves his hometown of Knoxville. And it's this landscape done in 1922, dated here and signed. And what's fascinating to me is that already at this early stage where he still is in that student phase, he's already discovered this interest in light, in nature, in reflective surfaces. He's already put the sun at the center of his composition, much as he does in one of his last paintings, Yellow Cypress, which in many ways has the same basic composition as this first painting. It's as if you've got the beginning and the end where he's come full circle. But in many ways, this painting, however crude you may think it is compared to his mature work, bears many of the hallmarks that you see later on in his artistic practice. Even the attention to atmospheric effects and cloud formations and the quality of light is already present here. Perhaps one of the most revealing features of this exhibition is this display case filled with archival items, many of which were pulled from the estate of Buford Delaney, which is actually housed here temporarily at the Knoxville Museum of Art. The estate and attorney Derek Spratley, who's the administrator, have had a partnership with the Knoxville Museum of Art for years, and through that partnership, so many great things have happened locally to reestablish Delaney's legacy in his hometown of Knoxville. And the estate was kind enough to lend paintings to this exhibition, but also many of the archival objects that you see here in this display case. For instance, these early photographs show Delaney in New York City around the time that he would have met Baldwin, and their relationship and friendship would have been in its infancy. There's also a photograph of the Delaney family in Knoxville from around 1908. There are photographs of Delaney Studios in Paris and some of the objects that he kept on his studio desk. There are preliminary studies for some of the paintings that you see on the walls of the exhibition. At this end of the display case, we have several sketches that are preliminary studies for finished portraits of James Baldwin. And in some of these pages, you've got other evidence of Delaney's interest in reflective surfaces and transparent surfaces that interacted with light in compelling ways, such as ordinary store windows or stained glass windows in churches. You even see a sketch from December of 1961 that appears to be a fairly descriptive landscape that corresponds to the mountainous terrain off the coast of Patras, Greece, where only 6 months earlier he had attempted suicide by jumping overboard. And then finally, we've got some preliminary sketches for paintings of Rosa Parks, as well as a sketch of St. Paul de Vence, where he spent some of his last outings with James Baldwin at Baldwin's estate. And then in the corner here is a letter, a typed letter by James Baldwin that is in support of a grant application. Delaney is applying for funds, and Baldwin writes a letter in 1963, and in this letter, in powerful terms, he describes what he perceives as Buford Delaney's remarkable journey as an artist and a human being out of darkness into light, and how he's triumphed over so many obstacles to achieve the kind of brilliance that he achieves. And so for me, this letter says so much about their bond and about the way that Baldwin viewed his mentor. So I think that this element in the exhibition provides a different vantage point, a more personal vantage point with which many of us can connect with these two remarkable individuals. Well, that concludes our exhibition of Buford Delaney and James Baldwin Through the Unusual Door. I hope with the extension of the exhibition through October 25th that those of you who would love to come and see the exhibition will have that opportunity. There's nothing like seeing Delaney's art firsthand. And I also wanted to let you know that there is a fully illustrated catalog accompanying the exhibition that is in the process of being published as an e-book. And so if you are interested in ordering this, you can go to the website of the University of Tennessee Press. Thank you very much. Stay well.
Beaucoup plus stimulant. Et après, on retrouve ce qu'on a de canadien. Je sais pas, on acquiert beaucoup plus de personnalité, peut-être en restant, en vivant à Paris qu'en restant peut-être au Canada.
Vous venez des États-Unis, mais Beaufort de l'année, pourquoi votre nom est-il français?
Dans l'occasion de ma naissance,
De votre naissance,
votre naissance, une dame sagesse avec mon
une
mère,
sage-femme,
une sage-femme avec mon mère, née Beaufort, Caroline, Norte, le sud des États-Unis. Ma mère a une bonne affection pour cette dame. Pour ça, donnez-moi le nom Beaufort.